On this week's episode, it's the best of the Punk Rock Foodies radio interviews of 2015 with the punk rock musicians, Part 2.
All right, Punk Rock Foodies Radio, this is Steve, and that was Death by Stereo with Welcome to the Party. And welcoming to the party, the drummer for Death by Stereo, who's also the drummer for the Adolescents and the band Common War, Mr. Mike Cambra. What's up, brother?
What's up? How's it going?
Yeah, man, good to have you on the show, dude.
Yeah, man, good to be on it, dude. Good to be on it.
Yeah, you've had a pretty busy summer, huh?
Yeah, man. East Coast a little bit with Adolescents. Just got back from Europe with Death by Stereo. We did a 4-week run out there. And, yeah, man, just trying to get back into regular life mode right now.
Nice, man, nice. So you said, where were you at this summer? In Europe?
Yeah, DVS went to Europe for about 4 weeks. Played a bunch of festivals out there and saw a bunch of good friends. Kind of did the usual European summer kind of like bounce around.
Killer, man. What was the biggest festival you guys played?
I'm not quite sure on some of the biggest festivals. I can tell you some of the I want to say some of the club shows are a little more intense than the festivals. Even though the festivals have some more people,
yeah,
I think some of the club shows are a little more rowdy in my opinion. They're fun. You know, I'd rather play a little packed club than, a festival, I think.
Yeah,
more fun.
Seeing your band Death by Stereo in a small place, you guys pretty much bring the place down, dude. It's pretty intense, dude. It's good stuff.
Thanks, man. We try to have fun, you know what I mean? We try to have a party. You know, if we're not having fun, no one else will either, so.
Absolutely.
Try to do our best, yeah.
Cool, man. You get any good grub out in Europe?
Oh, tons, man. Europe has a lot of good food, man. I like a lot of places that have kind of like, I don't know what word I'm trying to look for, like landmark for food. Like, in the States, you got New York, you got really good pizza, and Philly, obviously, you got the roast pork, cheesesteaks, things like that. Europe's got their own, like, original mixes of stuff, too, so it's pretty cool. We end up eating, though, as I see a lot of bands do out there, you eat a lot of doner kebabs, or durum doners, which I usually call a Turkish burrito, because it pretty much looks like one, but it's with doner meat, or the meat wheel.
Yeah.
That's a staple. We get that as much as we can, just because it's freaking delicious.
Yeah, that stuff's good. I've been out there a couple times, and the donor meat that they shave off right in front of you, it's so good.
Exactly. Yeah, in Germany in particular, they have a lot of them. They have a big Turkish community out there, so they got a lot of that. So
you ever get any you ever get any currywurst out there?
Yes, a lot of currywurst in Germany.
Yeah, that stuff's good. You can't get that stuff stateside. It does not taste the same.
No, it totally doesn't. It's like it's really simple, but they have that curry ketchup out there, which they use so much, and it's like normal to them, like it's normal ketchup. But out here, you barely. The only place I've ever seen it is a place in Orange called Mattern Sausages. It's like a German sausage kind of beer house kind of thing. And they have the huge bottles of the curry ketchup, and it's fucking so delicious. Dude,
right on. That place is right down the street from me, dude. I go there all the time. Yeah, I love that place.
Yeah, they got the goods, man. That's a pretty real place.
Yeah. Killer, man, killer. So, speaking of, bringing it to stateside, I know you guys played all around the United States. Is there anywhere that you like touring through for the regional cuisine?
The East Coast is probably my favorite for that. It's just because, living on the West Coast, my favorite food on the West Coast is obviously Mexican food, and, where I live in Orange County is, we're pretty damn close to Mexico, so we got good tacos all over the place, especially in LA, got taco trucks, all that kind of stuff, and that's pretty much my favorite over here. So going to the East Coast is fun because they just got so much different kind of food that they're special at. Like I was saying, out, in Philly, you got Philly cheesesteaks, or just whatever, just cheesesteaks, and then even like more local, I guess, they get the roast pork out there, and the roast pork is so good out there. You go to Chicago, you got their deep dish. Like, I always like going to Lou Malnati's in Chicago. It's some of the most amazing deep dish pizza ever. And, yeah, it's things like that, you know what I mean?
Cool, man. Cool.
Pretty into that.
Right on, dude. Yeah. What about like do you guys ever play down in Mexico or anywhere like in Canada or anything or?
Yeah, we go to Canada. I've never played in Mexico. The band has a few times, and they've always said just amazing things about, playing deep in Mexico. I've been to Canada a bunch of times, and kind of like how the doner kebab is in Europe is how poutine is in Canada. Poutine is a staple we almost get every day. Anytime we see good poutine, we'll even get online and try to look for the good poutineries if there are some, like especially in Eastern Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more French area. They have some of the most amazing poutine, and it seems so simple, like it can be done anywhere, but nowhere does it as good. I don't know what to say. I'll correct myself. There's one place in LA called Cafe Soleil. I think it's like near UCLA. In that place, it's a French Canadian ran bar, and their bar menu consists of only poutine. So they have like 7 different kinds of poutine. Oh my god, it's so fucking good. It's like gourmet poutine. So they do it right. It's about the best poutine I've had outside of Canada is this place.
Right on, man. So yeah, besides Death by Stereo, you're in a couple other bands. You play in the Adolescents and
yeah.
Yep. And
I've been playing Adolescents for about 2 years, and then Common War we've been going on. I mean, it's kind of funny actually. Common War started before I got Death by Stereo. Me and JP, Death by Stereo, we've been playing in other bands, not in the same band, but this little band, Skyline Collapse, my old band, Cry Havoc. We used to play a bunch of shows together, like a little good group of Southern California bands, and it ended up when he got Death by Stereo, they started practicing a similar practice spot that my band Cry Havoc was practicing in downtown LA, and I remember talking, we started something new, and so we got together. Me, him, our buddy Jason, and our other buddy Justin started the band, and seeing as how perhaps already in the studio, and so as he was up on stereo, we just kind of moved some of the things into ours, and we started. But we never really hit it hard until about, I would say, a year and a half ago. We really kind of started getting a little more serious with it. Our one singer, Justin, he ended up leaving the band, and we got Malachi, our new singer.
yeah.
And yeah, I think from then on, we started taking the songwriting just a little more intense, like a little more harsh on ourselves on what we wanted to hear. And yeah, so it started taking off a little better. We, for our first record, and we're pretty stoked. We've been touring around, and can't complain. Eulogy Records put it out, and it was cool to us.
Sick, man, sick. Are you guys touring anytime in the fall or anything, or?
We have a tour we're doing. I want to say it's like October 13th through October 30th. We're going to the West Coast of Canada, and we're going to be doing a pretty much full Canadian tour with our label buddies called Bring the Fight out of Canada as well.
Killer. Any local shows?
I don't think, to be honest, I'm still lagged out from the last tour. I want to say we have something on September 5th. My guitarist, JT, is going to fucking kill me that I'm not remembering what show it is, but by the end of this podcast, I'll know the show.
No worries, man. No worries, dude. Yeah, it's funny that you said you get more intense about your songwriting because, dude, every band you play in, you're an intense part of the band, dude. I mean, you just sit back there and you just fucking kill it, and it's pretty cool. I was listening to some of the Common War stuff earlier today, and it just, dude, it's great. It's really technical, and it just fucking gets going, dude. Gets the heart pumping.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, like I said, it's pretty fun with them sometimes because I don't think it's them all the time, but specifically, I think we all in the band have such different musical tastes that we're into.
Mm-hmm.
So the songwriting is really fun. Generally, I want to say JP writes a good amount of everything. Guitar-wise, I mean, he writes everything guitar-wise, but he'll come with us with hey, so I got these 2 or 3 new songs, and he'll program drums and do bass, guitars, everything to them. So it's kind of fun. He'll just kind of come up with the song, and most of the time we'll just go, dude, that's amazing, that's rad, all right, we're totally stoked, and then we'll put our own spice, all of our own seasoning on it. But I think, for the next upcoming thing we're trying to do, we're going to try to really kind of do a little more together to kind of just, get a little collaboration of it, because I feel that with all of our tastes being so different, we can get kind of a really unique thing.
Cool, yeah. Most definitely, dude.
Yeah.
Well, killer, man. Well, last but not least, you also own a shirt clothing company.
Yeah, I have a clothing company with my friend Riley and the band Night Versus called Learn to Forget.
Yeah.
We launched about a little over a year ago, and kind of the same thing as we both do in all of our bands. Is just trying to do something we like. Trying to put out a product that we're stoked on, and makes us stoked.
Yeah, dude. Where can my the punk rock foodies find your clothing at?
www.learntoforgetbrand.com. You can find us on Instagram, Learn to Forget, then _, and find us on Facebook, Learn to Forget.
Cool, man. And
yeah.
And you're going to be cool enough to give away one shirt to one lucky punk rock foodie out there, huh?
Yeah, man. Whoever wins the contest, I'll be very stoked to send the shirt out.
Should we do Death by Stereo meals and just use Death by Stereo songs to create a meal and kind of go from there?
Would love it, man. That'd be amazing.
Okay.
We do have one friend a long time ago. There's another blog that I became friends with a while ago called Cooking to Die For, and they did a Death by Chocolate, what is it? Death by Chocolate with a brownie, the bacon brownie that they did.
Oh.
That was kind of funny back in the day.
That sounds good, man. So yeah, then that's what we'll do. We'll do hashtag Death by Stereo meals.
We're having a contest!
And they can just get radical and do something really creative.
Yep, anything you want, man. That'd be fucking cool. Because I love food, so see anything fun with that, I'd love to try as well.
Cool. Well, we'll put out the dates on our webpage, and we'll get that going. Mike Cambra, thank you so much for your time, dude. It was a great having you on the show, man. We look forward to seeing you up on stage beating the piss out of those drums, and yeah, man, thanks for coming by.
Dude, thank you so much for having me, man. It was really a blast, dude. I can't wait to see some of the rest of the that come up.
Yeah, righteous, Mike. All right, man. Well, we're back with Punk Rock Foodies Radio. Mike, you want to take us out with the Common War song?
Yeah, you know what? Look, we have a video we put out for Like a Violin, so throw it on.
Hey, this is Xander T, and you're listening to the best of Punk Rock Foodies Radio 2015.
Welcome back to Punk Rock Foodies Radio. Right now we've got a special guest joining us, Mr. Mark Adkins from Guttermouth. It seems like Guttermouth, they seem to be touring all the time. And if they're not touring, it seems like you guys are playing somewhere around Southern California. Would you say that's kind of accurate for right now?
That's true to a certain extent. I mean, there was a time that there was a short little, time that I was thinking about hanging it up, and that didn't last long, but, I didn't really have a choice.
Right.
And yeah, because women do terrible things to men. They try and change them and turn them into the monsters they want them to be instead of the monsters they really are.
Was a woman to blame for the possible hanging him up, if you will?
She was just a freaking demon, dude. Just a demon, yeah. Inherently evil, if you would, yeah.
Okay, well, excuse me. So you guys are heading to Australia soon. How does the Australian punk scene differ from the Southern California or even the U.S. scene?
It's a more positive vibe, I'll tell you that, It's a happier bunch of people because, it kind of flows, But these days, it's just not the happy-go-lucky place it once was. Too much population, a lot of excess population. Australia doesn't have that, so, there's a lot of happier people. So, the shows are more pleasant to play and still more rowdy, and it works for me and what I like to do. So I feel more at home playing for an Australian crowd than I do for an American crowd, plain and simple.
Is there a Australian city that you look forward to?
I've always hung my hat in Brisbane, always.
Okay.
It's just been one of those things for me. Yeah.
Now, Does touring get easier for you at this point, or does it get harder?
Well, let's see. I've been out for 24 days so far, and I've got 2 days left. So I'm pretty grumpy right now, even though I'm trying to play it off like I'm not. Watch out for that fucking mail truck. Sorry. So we're driving in New York City right now.
Okay.
So, get out of here, man. What was the question?
Does touring get easier or harder for you at this point?
Oh, no, it's fine. It's the same thing, man. Yeah, it doesn't get harder. Doing is doing it. It's what I do. It's in my blood. So, I'm happy to do it. I don't really want to. There's nothing else I want to do. That was the problem I addressed earlier with, girls and stuff. It's like they try and change you. They don't want you to go on the road. They want you to sit at home and come home from work and watch television and maybe have a glass of really crappy wine. And by the way, I'm about to enter a tunnel, and if I lose you, I hope you call me back.
Okay.
That would be really nice. But otherwise, let's keep talking.
Okay.
Yeah. But you know what I mean now? How that goes?
Yeah.
But no, it's not getting harder. It's just fine.
Okay. Now, when you tour, are you the kind who tries the different foods from the local places that you'll go to?
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. Absolutely. What the truth be told, sir, there's usually 9 times out of 10 overrated bull crap that's like easy conjecture,
Right.
The really crappy American TV shows like Man vs. Food or Man Too Much Food or whatever the shows are that are just, crappy so-called reality shows.
Right.
Yeah, and we went to a place called Melt the other day in Cleveland, Ohio. It's supposed to be the best grilled cheese in the world, and how good could a fucking grilled cheese sandwich be? And let me tell you, it wasn't that special.
Nothing you could have made at home?
Yeah.
What city would you say has had the best food that you've had?
Sometimes when we're like in the Ridge area, we go to New Farm, and there's a couple good barbecue places there that we like,
Mm.
I can't remember the names of them because I was probably a little sluggish from the night before, but but Australian breakfast is kind of second to none, man. It's like no one else can, nobody else stacks up to that, for sure. And only the locals can know what I'm talking about, yeah.
What kind of a food is an Australian breakfast? I live in Los Angeles, so...
I figured you did. I saw your phone number, dude. They just make it good. A better Benedict. It's a little bit different. You got a fried tomato on the side. You got baked beans on the side as well as an egg benny and some good nice big toast, a flat white topping. Things are great, man.
Okay.
It's just a better veggie all the way around, man.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds similar-ish to like an English or an Irish type breakfast with the baked beans.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it's nice though. What do you do?
When you're at home, do you cook for yourself?
Yeah.
What kind of foods do you like to cook for yourself?
Absolutely. Well, Mexican mainly. We live relatively close to the Mexican border, so, just, the basic Mexican fare, burritos, tacos, tortas, al pastor,
Okay.
Stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah, lots of tequila.
Lots of tequila? Cooking oil, right?
Yes.
Now, it's been 9 years since Guttermouth has put out a new record. Is there anything in the works? Are you working on any new music, or?
Yeah, we pretty much just did the demo, but didn't quite finish it. And then when we got to Brisbane, we're locked down in the studio from the Bedlam group. Is putting us up in a studio for 7 days, and we're recording there. And it might be an exclusive Australian release. I'm pretty sure it will be. And that's all I can tell you for now.
Okay.
I'm not sure where it's going to go.
So stuff is on the
we're
horizon.
actually doing it.
Okay. On a side note, you may or may not remember, and I wonder if you remember, But back when I was in high school, this was probably 96, whenever Teriyaki Moto came out. I think that was 96.
Yeah, 96 or 97, yeah.
Somebody had said that they called 411 and was able to get your number. So I did the same thing, and I called 411, and I actually called you, and you, to my surprise, you answered, and I proceeded to tell you I didn't like the song Teriyaki Moto.
Okay.
And
Fair enough.
but I thought it was like, and I was just like high school punk doing this, calling, saying stupid shit. But I thought it was, you actually answered the phone and you kind of answered me and you talked to me about it, and like, you weren't like an asshole about, you weren't as big of an asshole about it as I was.
Was I an asshole?
No, you weren't at all. I was.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, that would surprise me if I was ever an asshole. But W. James, stop killing dolphins. That's so funny. Sorry, you're just off billboard. We're really concerned about dolphins here at Guttermouth.
Yeah.
No, but that's good that I was nice. The guys in the group would agree that I'm probably one of the nicest guys they've ever met.
The nicest man in punk rock, right?
Oh, boy. Yeah, the nicest guy in punk, Mark Adkins.
Awesome.
Here to make friends, kiss babies, smoke cigars, run for Congress.
Are you going to run for political office, or do you have any political aspirations?
No, God, no, I would never. No, not interested. I could be bothered.
You're not going to end the war on drugs from within?
Oh my God, it needs to be ended, but as we all know, what a colossal waste of resources that is. But hey, Nancy Reagan lives on, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. But even though she's gone, isn't she? Is she dead?
No, I believe she's still alive. I think.
She's still alive now? She's got to be 3,000 years old. Taking care. How old would Nancy Reagan be?
She's got to be in her 90s if she is alive. I think she's alive, though.
Wow, impressive.
Yeah.
Impressive.
That's all I got for you. Do you have anything else you want people to know, either about yourself or anything you're working on?
Well, I mean, the main thing is, it's just, we're coming back. It's nice to be coming back. I know that our last tour that we did through Australia was a farewell tour, because, I was about to hang it up and quit the band and settle down with some girl, and, that didn't work out. And, so, because she tried to, change who my person was, and I can't stand for that. And, just had to take your foot down and move on and go back to doing what you do best. And this is who I am, and this is what I do, and I love doing it. I'm not going to stop.
Well, hey, thank you for taking the time to talk to me today. I appreciate it.
All right, cheers, man. Thanks for your time, dude.
Awesome. All right, take care.
All right, have a good day, man.
We're going to take a quick music break here. Skate Rat, you got a song?
Melancolin with 22, and this is Skate Rat Betty on Punk Rock Foodies Radio.
Hey, everybody out there in Radio Land. This is Brian Reinhardt, and you're listening to Punk Rock Foodies Radio Best of 2015.
And that was Groovy Ghoulies with the Zombie Crush. You are listening to Punk Rock Foodies Radio from the Vicious Pig Saloon in downtown Mattersville. Skate Rat and Steve are here. Brian is not. That's why I played the Groovy Ghoulies for him, because that seems to be his go-to. So, but as we said before we went off that break, Steve did catch up with Chris Flippin and Lagwagon at It's Not Dead Fest. So here's what he had to say.
What was your favorite food that you had tonight, Chris?
Beer.
How many beers have you had?
I think about 20 right now.
What's your favorite meal to cook once you get home?
Oh, wow. I like steaks. I like beef. Like ribeyes.
Like a bone ribeye?
Or a tri-tip.
So what do you do on the grill or?
Yeah, grill. We also have an actual barbecue.
Yeah.
Like a wood one. My buddy likes to do oak.
With oak smoke?
Yeah. But I need him to do it because I'm not.
Well, you guys are from Santa Barbara, so
yeah.
So that kind of stuff is like, that's what's up over there.
So my baby girl Tony, he can smoke that. He's got his own oak supply. Like it's got like its own little closet, like aged oak too.
Oh,
it's good.
That sounds incredible, bro.
It gives it that like little that crisp flavor. Like the tri-tubes. What sucks is we're from Santa Barbara, but everyone says it's like Santa Maria style barbecue, but it's a Santa Barbara County. But Santa Maria gets all the love because they got more oak up there.
Yeah.
Right.
But dude, that once you get that bark.
Once you get that smoke, it starts smoking up good. And, it's deep and it's good. It's like got a crisp bite.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's fucking radical, man.
Some good tips.
Yeah.
I like that his favorite, the best food he had that day was beer.
Yeah, let's get fired up. This is the best of 2015 Punk Rock Foodies Radio.
All right, and we are back on Punk Rock Foodies Radio and punkrockradio.net. On the phone with me now is the muscle and monitor tech and keyboard player for NOFX. You may know him as Limo, Mr. Brett Hopkins. How you doing, Brett?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, too. How's it over there?
It's fantastic, as always. So my first question is, how did you get involved with the NOFX family?
Years ago, Kent and I were in a band together, and he was playing and he was doing sound, and eventually we figured out that our band wasn't going to make it, so we needed to start working for bands that were going to make it. So Kent got the gig first with NOFX. As soon as they had an opportunity to bring somebody else aboard, he gave me a call, and the rest is history. When we first started out, bands didn't have like full crews, right? They had a sound guy and one guy. So, we were lucky enough that we had a sound guy, a merch guy, Jay Walker, who used to do stage, but merch got so big we needed somebody else. So we went on tour with Fishbone, and the whole deal was we wanted a sound check, and if we wanted a sound check, we had to pay the monitor guy the sound check. So they said, well, if we're gonna pay a monitor guy, we want our own monitor guy. So we need a guy who can do monitors, drums, and guitars. Kent was like, I got the guy. And then I started with NOFX, and they haven't been able to get rid of me since.
How long ago was that?
That was about, 1992 or 1993, so like 24 years ago, something like that.
So like back when Warped Tour just kind of started up and...
Yeah, it was it was years before Warped Tour. Yeah. We were still doing like our own, American tours and Canadian tours in the summer.
Yeah.
But it was probably about 2 or 3 years before the first Warped Tour, I would say, yeah.
Yeah, I actually recall standing front row at the Warped Tour in Pittsburgh, first one, and seeing you there on the side of the stage. While NOFX was performing, and they went on after Rancid, and it was like one of the greatest lineups ever. And now,
that was a good lineup that year.
Yeah, now Warped Tour is just a joke. So you are from Canada. You're Scottish Canadian.
Yes.
And you're in Vancouver.
Well, I live in the woods outside of Vancouver. I left Vancouver years ago. I live in a sleepy little community called Roberts Creek, right? A ferry ride away from Vancouver. So I'm in a small town. I'm in the woods.
Are there good restaurants in that town?
Yeah, there's quite a few good restaurants. Not as many as Vancouver. Vancouver's got some better restaurants, but we've got stuff here. But for the most part, I'm pretty fussy. Eat at home a lot. I like to cook.
What is one of your meals that you enjoy cooking, or that you just recently got married? So congratulations on your recent nuptials.
Thank you very much.
What is one of the meals that you like to cook for your wife, or that she really enjoys, or that you just enjoy cooking?
Okay, well, we kind of have a little bit of a routine because when I'm working and stuff, working at home, we don't have a lot of time, but Taco Tuesdays are a big hit with the kids. We do tacos and burritos. I do everything homemade, right? I make up my own salsa, my own guacamole, even my own taco seasoning. But the big hit with the wife is we do pizzas on Friday night. And I make my own crust, we make our own sauce, and we do my wife's a vegetarian, so we do a big vegetarian pizza for her. And then the other big hit is one day
later in the week we do a pasta night. And I do a family sauce, very simple sauce, and it's delicious.
Do you have a camera in my house? Because you basically just described what I do with my kids. You ever talk to Spike about his pizza abilities? And
as a matter of fact, I do. Usually when I talk to Spike about it is the last time I talked to Spike, because we've talked about pizzas before. He's impressed with my pizza dough recipe, which everybody is, because I make it at home. It's the best. The simplest food is the best, right? The least ingredients is the best. Simplicity is the key to Italian cooking, for sure.
Absolutely.
But with Spike, I call him for the music choices of what I'm going to listen to while I'm making the pizza. You know, I want to pull up some like good cheesy 70s like Italian music. I call Spike.
So whenever you are on tour, what is one of the cities that you really enjoy going to because of the cuisine, or because there's a restaurant that you can't wait to get back to and try something, or have a meal that you've had before?
Well, for sure, San Francisco is high on the list because they got a lot of good restaurants. But being a Canadian, it's really hard to get good Mexican food. So I go to California, I just can't wait to go to La Corneta to have like a burrito, and anytime in New York, it's all good, right? There's enough places to eat in New York, there's never a problem. When in Amsterdam, there's a little joint called Burger Bar, which makes a fantastic hamburger that I look forward to every time I go there. Another place in the States that, it's closed now. Chicago used to have a couple of really nice places. They had a Cuban place, and this one place called Gramwich, which was outrageous with their sausage. And then there's another place in Chicago called Doug's Dogs, which is just straight up heart attack food.
Yeah, I've seen Doug's Dogs on the Travel Channel.
Chicago's also got the Billy Goat Diner, which is famous for the Saturday Night Live sketch with cheeseburger, no Coke, Pepsi.
Right.
That place really exists. If you ever get to Winnipeg, there's VJ's Hamburger Shack, and there's a Caribbean restaurant called Dean's Diner, which is the bomb. And anytime in Toronto, I make a beeline for anywhere I can get jerk chicken, because that's the best place to get jerk chicken in Canada.
Really?
Or oxtail. Any Caribbean food you want, you go to Toronto. Now, my friend Pat, who lives in Montreal, is going to take issue with this statement, because the Montreal-Toronto rivalry between their bagels and their Caribbean food is a pretty heated rivalry. But I have to give it to Toronto as far as some of the Caribbean places. The real jerk is just unbelievable.
Wow, I'm surprised to hear that. Toronto has got great jerk chicken.
Toronto's got a huge West Indian community, huge Jamaican community, so they managed to make it happen.
Wow. All right, we just learned recently that Amsterdam has Argentinian beef, or so Toronto's got.
That's the bomb right there. We like to call that the meat ambush.
All right, so currently everybody's gearing up for the big Fat Wreck for 25 years tour.
Yes, we are.
You'll be participating in that. And I did mention at the beginning that you are the keyboardist for NOFX. How did you get the keyboard gig? Did they try everybody out and you were the only one that could do it, or do you have a background?
Okay, I'm just going into the general store right here to get myself get my wife a bottle of wine and myself some beer, so I'm going to be talking to you while I do this. So basically, the keyboard story is kind of funny. We started doing that Rancid cover, radio, right? And we had the girl from Morgan Heritage came, and she played with us on the Warped Tour, and she played that song. And then after that, we ended up bringing in the guy from Snuff played keyboards for us on a tour, the Mod. Well, that was unreasonable, so since I was the one that was teching the keyboard and I watched him every night, they just sort of said, and Kent was just like, well, we don't need to hire a keyboard player. Limo will do it. And so basically, I painted some dots on the keyboard, and then that was the beginning of my career.
So it sounds like Kent just kind of throws you at the wolves, no matter, we don't need it. Limo will do it. It's good.
This kid's, I take care of all the, he hasn't been in a physical fight ever in his life. I take care of that for him too.
Well, what are the songs that you do play keyboard? I know Franco and American, and obviously Radio. Is that it?
Yep.
Okay.
Nope, Eat the Meek.
Oh,
Eat the Meek to play in different drum. Terrence, we got a different keyboard patch that's on the Decline, where I'm playing both horns and a little keyboard riff. Mattersville, a little xylophone thing. My Heart is Yearning, I'm playing steel drums on the keyboard on that one. The other one is when we do, intro, the new 60% is a big, that one sucks. And then we used to start the show with Heart and Soul as well, so it would stick me up there. The first time I ever played keyboards in front of, the first time ever was at Brixton Academy, sold out Brixton Academy, and there I am. We go there, we open up with Heart and Soul, and so I go there and I start playing, and the next thing you know, I'm just playing, and I'm waiting for the band to come out, and they're like, where's the band? I look over my shoulder, and they're just standing there laughing at me. I had to play that thing for, it felt like an eternity. It's kind of like that in the warm-up for in hockey players when the rookies first time out of the NHL. You know, they all hit the ice, they go for the skate, and jumps around, they're skating around a circle, and the rookie looks around, and there's nobody else on the ice but him.
A little eager to get out there. So the Backstage Passport 2 is coming out very, very soon. Is there any interesting things we get to look forward to that you get involved in?
Well, we can't give anything away, my man. You gotta pick it up yourself. But let me just say, there's as much fun going on in that tour as there was in any other one. So it'll be something to look forward to. You know, we got to go back to a couple places. It was nice going back to Peru and not being held hostage for a whole day. That's for sure.
I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with that one. Plus, I'm also
the Riot in Mexico is pretty impressive as well.
The Riot?
Yeah, we play a big show in Mexico City, and it turns into a giant riot and a complete mayhem and chaos. At one point, when they stormed the stage, we lost half of our microphones that night. So,
oh, jeez. Well,
you know, things happen.
Yeah, I'm personally looking forward to. We actually have a mutual friend, James Straker, and I'm looking forward to seeing his appearance.
The king.
Yes, that'll be.
He's a mad foodie as well.
Oh yeah, he's actually one of the reasons I started the page.
You're very prolific on the old Facebook with your postings, that's for sure.
All right, well, anything else you got going on, or just prepping for this big tour here, or?
Just prepping for the tour, living the life I love and loving the life I live. Super happy. Like I said, just freshly married. Actually, tonight I'm sort of coordinating right now. I got to get off the phone. I've had a few texts. I have to my day job. I couldn't go into town, but I'm sending my sons to go see Pennywise in town. They're opening up for Danzig, so one of my friends is going to take them and have them chaperone to the side of the stage. So, and my boys, we got a little. I'm grooming a little punk rock band with my boys right now. So. When NOFX is over, I hope to be managing them, and I'll try to keep my hand in the scene.
Yeah, and Kent will keep pushing you to do things for them. But
oh, hell, I'm making Kent. I'll be pushing Kent to do things for them. And keep an ear out for my band, Modern Terror. Modern Terror, it's 2016. We're going to take over the world.
Well, let's hear a little of Brett playing keyboards. This is Franco Un-American by NOFX here on Punk Rock Foodies Radio, punkrockradio.net.
I never thought about the universe, it made me feel small. Never thought about the problems of this planet at all.
Hey, this is the asshole in charge, and you're listening to the best of 2015 Punk Rock Foodies Radio. Woo!
All right, so that was The World's on Heroin by All. And we have a surprise guest here, just showed up here at the Vicious Pig Saloon here in Mattersville. Mr. Joey Cave is with us. Joey, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I love it here.
Yeah.
My feeling is most of the time things don't matter, so Mattersville for me is a perfect place.
Excellent.
Very comfortable here.
Yeah. They treat us so well here.
Oh my God! And your chef.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's
Rebecca. She's amazing.
Amazing
So
chef
good.
here.
Wait, she just left.
Yeah,
Anyway.
but the food is ridiculous. Yeah. So how is the tour going so far? I know we're almost at the end of it.
I mean, it's good, but in Mattersville, people don't. I mean, it's kind of weird when you play here because it seems like people don't really care that much. I mean,
it doesn't matter.
They're not concerned with anything, which is great because they live in a world where they're not worried about their troubles, their bills, and everything. I mean, nothing really matters here. So
absolutely.
But most nights are good. I mean, we were in New York last night, and that's really philosophically the same as Mattersville. A lot of people live there, so. We got prepared for it by that, but I like it a little more when people are actually interested in what you're doing.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan.
All right, so let's talk food.
All right. I'm eating food.
I'm gonna, as you should be. Lots of great food here. What when you travel, because you've been all over the world. I mean, between Lagwagon and Me First and every other project you've got going on, what is one place that you just can't wait to get back to get some specific meal?
Oh boy, there's a lot of those.
Don't tell me, or you could tell me, Montreal, because you wrote a song about it.
And I'm wearing a shirt.
Well, and Schwartz's Deli has a smoked meat sandwich that I've heard is amazing.
I will actually say, and it's not just because I'm wearing the shirt, this is called Maison Publique, this restaurant, and it's in a kind of a suburban part of Montreal, which is why it's called the Public House, and it's run by my friend Derek, who's like an old punk guy, who was also a chef, because being into punk rock doesn't necessarily make a living, just being a fan. So he was always a chef. He studied and worked under Jamie Oliver in England for a long time. And I think he worked his way around Europe a little bit. And then he's a Western Canadian, but he came back and he opened this restaurant, Maison Publique, in Montreal. And a friend of mine, Melanie, took me there for the first time. And now it's one of those things where every time that I'm in Montreal, I eat there. And there's a funny thing about when you like a place to eat so much, you're more interested in going to that town because of the restaurant than you are the actual show. And Montreal is always one of the kind of better shows, but yeah, I get really excited. And this time we played on Sunday, and the show was supposed to be Saturday, but it got backed up today and it ended up on Sunday. And originally the plan was to go there for Sunday brunch. Mondays they're closed. So I didn't get to go this time. It was heartbreaking. That was about a week ago. But yeah, that's one of those places. But anywhere in Japan, because I'm a big fan of fish.
Heard that a lot.
I like the way they do it out there. It's good times. Kind of almost every city. I mean, you have little Vietnamese places that you find, or if you like food, you just figure it out. You eat enough food. If I'm in, there's certain cities where the delis are the right delis, and there's other cities where there's like this little. It kind of comes down to venues and walking distance. After a while, I'm in that venue. Oh, they got that really great old school Italian deli. There's like that place that stays open all night, where you can eat at 4 a.m. Sometimes it's not even about the food; it's about the atmosphere. So I have so many of them. I don't, it's kind of where to start.
You've been touring pretty much constantly since you were a young child. When you're on the road, what are your eating habits? How are they different now than when you were, say, 22 or 18? Like when you're out on the road, I can't imagine you still eat the same shit. So how is it different now? When
I first started doing this, my band, we had like a regiment, you know. The first couple years of tour, we brought a Coleman stove. We kind of grew up in a place where there was a lot of camping and stuff, and so we were pretty familiar with camp foods, you know, like chili mac or tuna mac, or, you know, just straight up like with the udon ramen, you know.
Yeah.
So we would go to like a Costco or a Cost Plus, one of those places where we would buy in bulk, and we'd eat that way every day because it was really inexpensive, and some days we didn't make any money playing shows, so we had to worry about gas. We would have to hand out things to ask for gas. And then when we started doing a little better, we had a budget. There was probably 2 years we had a budget of $1.50 for each guy each day, and that was Taco Bell.
That's a great
I mean,
deal.
fine foods. It was like fine foods, you know. And I remember the Taco Bell, it was like $1.50 bought 2 bean and cheese burritos.
Yeah.
So everybody got that every day, and then we had an extra $5. It added up to be like $15 was the budget for food every day. So everybody got 2 burritos every day, and we would get involved. It's crazy good. Mattersville, man, they make the best pastry here. But yeah, and then we would buy a jug of wine. Cheap, terrible wine.
Yeah, like Carlo Rossi or something.
Yeah, it was something. There was like this specific jug of wine that we would buy, and then those burritos, and so all of us had really bad gas all the time. It was awful. But yeah, I think as soon as we started doing well enough to have like a per diem where everybody got like, you know, 10 and $15 a day or something, then I started kind of like, you know, I started getting a little more brave about it. But yeah.
When you come back home to Toledo, you know, and I think you're from Santa Barbara area, so what is one food you crave? You know, I know there's a lot of regional stuff, but I'm sure that, you know, Mexican food's probably in your diet too, so what dish do you want to come back home to and get once you get back off the road?
It's always Mexican food because, you know, if you grow up in California, it's formerly Mexico, and I think that the burrito culture, which is a thing, you know, the burrito counter was, I guess that arguably La Cumbre, like, was the first, you know, kind of burrito bar thing in San Francisco, and so that's a thing that exists everywhere now. Even in Germany or something, you'll find places that are like that, but they don't really get it. They don't quite do it right, you know. So there's that thing if it's native to where you're from. So most of the time it's Mexican food. And in the early days when we were poverty-stricken and less sophisticated, it was Taco Bell, that's kind of funny. Yeah, well, I don't know. Yeah, like that's the thing for me. Like if I've been on a long tour and I haven't really had, you know, kind of proper taco or like a burrito, I'll go home and eat that. I mean, my girls and my wife and daughter, they're both vegetarian, and so there's not a lot of options, you know. Every once in a while I have sushi because they can get like veggie rolls and stuff like that. Right. But for the most part, you know, it's things like pasta and pizza and burritos, and the Mexican thing happens a couple times a week. But I'm always really excited when I get like a good burrito.
So we've talked to Spike Slauson before on the show, and he works in a pizza place in San Francisco. You live in San Francisco. You guys hang out and eat pizza?
I've had pizza with Spike before, but not from Escape from New York.
His homemade stuff? Because I've seen his homemade stuff.
Well, no, I've eaten dinner at his house a few times, and I've had him cook for me. Him and his wife, Audra, are both serious chefs. I mean, like, Spike, it's, you know, he's the guy for like 6 hours in the kitchen. Hanging out there. And he's so accommodating. Can I get you an espresso? While he's thinly slicing these little thin slices of garlic, you know. Spike's, he's world class, and he knows it. No, I've definitely eaten with him a lot, but I have yet to get a. You know, Spike likes to ride his bike. He's really into his bike, and I actually think the reason that he started working at the pizza place was because he just wants to ride his bike. So he was just delivering pizzas. There's been some rumor, And I don't know if it's like a Mattersville thing, like where people are just talking and they don't know what they're talking about, but I've heard that he might be opening a place.
You know what?
And
I think he should.
I really hope so. But I'm also a little concerned for him because there's a lot of pizza.
That is a big responsibility.
If you're in Chicago, New York, San Francisco, opening a pizza place is a little bit risky. I think.
Yeah.
And I want him to do well,
Absolutely. We all do.
Because the dude cannot sing, So he's got to get like a real job.
Yeah, he needs something.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, every night on stage, I'm just like, oof. Man.
So, how's the whole 1 week records thing going for you there? That's something new that you ventured into the whole record business before and seemed to just kind of back off of it or end it. Now we're getting back into it. How's it going? I mean, you got Chris Creswell, who's awesome.
Yeah, I did one of those with Chris. I mean, it's a kind of different approach. Like, I don't know, just maybe some kind of philosophical answer to the way things are now. Records don't really sell, and there's like an issue with distributors and record labels having the kind of funding they need to actually pay for bands to make records, and anyone can make a record at the same time. So there's this sort of I feel like when the tools came to make things perfect, when the editing tools came along, right at the same time, there was this decline in the funding for bands to actually get into decent studios that had really good closets for mics and good preamps and, good equipment to make things sound the way we want them to sound. And so there was sort of this long, small kind of spiral that happened to me where it became the right thing, and the obvious thing to do to just edit things into place. To grid things till, like a drummer, he doesn't even know how to hit a drum, but he can just play perfectly in time, and I'll just put these samples on his kick and snare. I'm guilty of this. I've produced records where I've made people that really aren't great players sound amazing. And singers, I mean, you can tune a vocal now. There's so many ways. It's such a sophisticated, algorithm. These things have come to a place where you can take someone singing in monotone and you can tune their voice and add inflection to it to make it sound like a natural singer. And we all know this because old R&B was predominantly live. The way records were recorded in the 70s, they were live. So you hear these old singers and they're unbelievable, But there's something, when you hear them by today's standards, you hear these little flaws in what they're singing.
Yeah.
Those are supposed to be there.
Right.
That's what made them individuals, and that's what made it so great. And so they're, we've gotten into this kind of pickle where, if you listen to like modern radio R&B stuff, it's riff. Like they can't even fucking stick to a melody for 5 seconds to make us love it. They just gotta, to the point where I'm like, really? Fuck off. Fuck you, man. Stop. And yeah, so anyway, long story short, like the idea with 1 Week Records was more like a session label. Like lowering the consequence by lowering the amount of time that we have to make a record and having really no budget. I cost nothing. My studio costs nothing. The electricity is in my house already. I bring these people that I think are really good. I like the idea that it's about me seeing people on tour that I think are really great, that people should hear, and they don't have maybe an opportunity to reach someone, and I say, hey, why don't you come to my house for a week? Live with me and my wife and daughter, we'll drink coffee in the morning, and I'll make you breakfast, and I'll make you your meals, and we'll just record some songs, and we got 7 days, and every once in a while it's 120 hours in a week.
Something like that, yeah.
So it's like no sleep, lots of whiskey and coffee and whatever to get through.
Good combination.
Yeah. But what I like about it is that I got rid of auto-tune. I got rid of Melodyne and auto-tune. I got rid of any ability to tune vocals. I don't edit. I edit to a minimum, you know. I mean, there's some editing that is artistic, you know. So we do this minimum thing, and we try to do as much of it live. And what I really like about it is that if you do it right, if you get you get that thing, you get that performance. I don't know. I mean, to me, there's still, even if people don't know it, there's still a lot of people that will respond to that.
And I think listening to anybody perform live, playing guitar and singing live, just is amazing. And so to hear a record where somebody's playing the guitar and then, you know, there's a second track and then there's the bass track and everything, it kind of bastardizes the entire original intent behind the singer-songwriter who writes a song on a acoustic guitar.
You can just layer and layer and layer and layer, and there's no end to it, and it's so easy to do now that it takes away from some of the imperfections that are actually the thing that artists were defined by, you know, with all mediums of art. So I mean, you know, not to sound pretentious, but it's like when you see a guy live that you love and you've seen him a whole bunch of times, there's always like that one show that you saw where that guy was just on and the sound was right in the venue and you remember it forever. You know, you saw this band a million times or something. You go, no, but that one night. And that's kind of the way I look at recording now. I look at it like, well, we're just going to do this until we get that moment.
Right.
And that's kind of what I go for with it. And a lot of pre-production, a lot of thinking about the songs and thinking about, let's try to figure out what the thing is that this person does that really represents who they are and what they have that's different than anyone else. And I just do my best to do that. And the thing is, it's a win-win because even if no one gets it and it doesn't work, I get it and I care about it and I love it. So for me, it's like I'm just buying something really good.
And that's what's great. I mean, that's what the whole.
So it's fun.
It's what the punk rock industry is. I mean, even if it's not the technical version of what people consider punk rock, it doesn't matter. It's, you know, I mean, folk and punk are so related, and that entire theme is.
I actually think you're onto something there because, you know, there is a really weird thing that happened. A lot of times you'll hear people say something like this, I don't really like this band, you know, it's like, I just don't like this genre of music, and it's because it's too polished or something. Like newer generations of punk rock would get, you know, kind of bad-mouthed by like the old school guys. But most of the time when you're talking to people about that, they don't know why. They just know that they want to hear something scrappy, you know, they want to hear something raw and like this, you know, they want to hear that energy like that thing. Every once in a while you meet a musician that's been in the thing forever and they go, no man, the reason that was fucking cool was because that thing had, you know, it had a heartbeat and it was real. And now all this stuff is just getting to, and it's a shame because what happens is there's a lot of bands that come along and they have this amazing ability and amazing heart. It's not about generations, it's not about old or young, it's not about where you come from. There's always going to be people that are passionate about what they do. So the thing is, if they come into an arena where they get, if the only way for them to make a record is in the Pro Tools world where they go in with some engineer that only knows this way of just going, you know, that's going to just tear the soul out of their thing.
Right.
And that's a fucking shame.
Right.
And I am definitely guilty. You know, like I discovered those digital tools when they first started, and I 20 years working with them, I loved them, I mastered them, and I made things sound like other things, and I did a lot of that stuff, and there was art in it. For some of the things I did, I had a band called Bad Astronaut, and that was like part of what it was about. Like everyone in the band, oh nice, right on. Everyone in that band was a producer or an engineer, so we all had those tools. So a lot of making those records, we spent like 2 years making a record because it was just like, yeah, man, I worked on this thing for like a week. Like I broke a keyboard and it started making a weird noise, and I recorded this, and it was so fun, and it was art. But that's different. I guess what I was saying was that there's a lot of bands that have, they spend all these years before they do anything, as far as making a record goes. And they spend all these years practicing 5 days a week, 6, 7 days a week, like normal bands do, because they're really passionate about it. And every once in a while, maybe more often than not, these bands are really passionate, they're really good, and they really fine-tune their sound. Down to tones, down to chemistry, for sure. And then they go into a studio in this world, and they get, without knowing it's happening, they're being taken to a room where everybody lives.
Right.
And that's not okay.
No.
It's also not okay that somebody or a band, any musicians that aren't really players can just go in and edit and do whatever they want and make it sound perfect. There's something wrong with it. Anyway, all I know is that what I like is when I hear something that's really natural and has, this, like these moments in it, like where you just kind of go, yeah, I know what that guy, I know what he's feeling, and I'm impressed by the emotion that's coming out of the music. That's what makes me happy. And it might be because I'm older, but I still think that that's what people connect to when they hear things. I think they don't even know it. So if you're a chef, you make food and you use all these ingredients, and someone who eats it, they love the taste of it, but they don't know all the ingredients you use, So we have some responsibility to that.
Right.
And I like to think that the One Week Records things are, it's not a new idea. The BBC sessions went on forever. There's been all kinds of things like this in history, but maybe if more labels did this, it could help a little bit. It alleviates some of the costs. It also asks more of the musicians, and it gives people something that's actually real.
Yeah. No,
I think it's a good thing.
That's great. That's great. All right, so that's awesome, Joey.
Killer place in Mattersville.
Oh, the Pig Vicious here is one of the best saloons ever, and you know what? We're
too many pigs though.
Well, we're gonna go up to the song. We're gonna play a Bad Astronaut song here, and then afterwards, well, hopefully we can get you to do a little live action for us here at the place. So this is Greg's Estate. Thanks, Joey.
Pleasure.
Hello, Master. This is Gregory. Finally.
This is Skate Rap Betty, and you're listening to Punk Rock Foodies Radio, the best of 2015.
Welcome back to Punk Rock Foodies Radio. Right now we've got a special guest, Pat Thetic, drummer for the punk band Anti-Flag. You guys have a new record called American Spring. It's set for May release. Why did you guys call the record American Spring?
So American Spring is a reference to the Arab Spring, which was late 2010, actually up until today still. The revolutions that came out of that are still in progress. And we were talking about revolution and how does revolution work and when does it work and when it doesn't work, and then the idea of a American revolution and change in the U.S. and how would that look. And what we came to is that the revolution that comes out of violence never works because institutions are always willing to be more violent than the population. But so we gave some of those ideas to Doug Dean, a local artist and designer, and he came back with that. The record cover with the archetypal images with the flowers over their faces. Okay. And
so that was interesting to us. And then we showed the front cover to one of our friends who just happened to be in the studio one day, and he's in a practice space, and he said, "Ooh, that's provocative." And we're like, "Yeah, what do you think of it?" He's like, "Yeah, it's okay." And then we showed him the back cover of the American Soldier. He's like, "Oh, you can't do that." And then for us, that's exactly what we're going to do, because if it has that reaction to people, then that is important, and it brings out the idea of what is acceptable violence, what is violence, and then is when, depending on which one of those images you identify with, you are accepting of violence in one direction but not in other directions, and it really gets an interesting dialogue going, which is always good for me.
You guys were involved with the Occupy movement, and it seems like the businesses and government entities that would be affected by a protest in America, it seems like they could wait them out longer than any of the protesters can really afford to keep protesting for.
That is a problem, yes. But go ahead. I'm sorry, I want to agree with you.
I was just going to say, do you feel that, because you mentioned that violence doesn't work, but do you feel that violent protests can still work in today's society?
I think it can. But I think it needs to have support. It needs to have broad support. It can't just be some kids and amazing kids, well-intentioned kids. I don't mean that in a derogatory sense.
Right.
But it can't just be young people. It has to be a larger coalition of people who want change. And it takes a lot of time, because in the U.S. in the 1920s, we had a lot of workers' movements and things like that, where the rest of the population didn't get involved. But the workers' movements were able to bring in immigrants and bring in different groups, and enough of an impact to get some, working reform in place. But yeah, it's you are correct. Companies with deep pockets and politicians always are going to have more power. But as you look at India with Gandhi and situations like that, where they took on the British Empire and they were willing to wait it out, because when you're dealing with an empire, they're coming from somewhere else. It's your home. When you're dealing with your own government, it's a little bit harder, but it's still a possibility. It's definitely. And if you start throwing rocks, they start shooting tear gas. You start having bombs, they start shooting automatic weapons, tanks, and it just escalates very quickly, and the people always lose.
Right. Now, have any of you guys considered running for political office, either at the smaller local level or larger levels?
We have never thought about running for political office ourselves, because we have a lot of skeletons in our closet. Would not be good for that. But I would love to get a young person and put them up for office, and because one thing that we've learned is that local office, you only need a couple 100,000 people to elect a local a person in local office. That we really don't need, because so few people vote in those elections, that if you had a really charismatic young person, and the one thing that we've learned from the Arab Spring is that through young people's skill with technology, they were able to organize much better than the power establishment was. And I think that it would be really fun to run a young gay, lesbian, activist kid for political office, and just be able to get enough people that, even though the establishment was really afraid of them, but if you could get enough people to get on board, you wouldn't take that many to get them into office, and I think that would be a lot of fun.
The new record's on Spine Farm Records. How did you guys end up going with Spine Farm on this one?
Spine Farm actually reached out to our friend who was helping us, or is helping us with the record company side of things, and they are Flash in the process of revamping themselves, and we're looking to do some really cool and interesting stuff. And we thought we haven't ever worked with a label in this type of record label, and they were excited and really had a lot of energy, and so we were like, yeah, let's give it a shot. So the good thing about us and all record companies is that this is a bit of an overstatement, but I see customs agents, police officers, landlords, and record companies all the same sort of category. And I have a record company, so I'm not saying that I'm any better than anybody else. It's just that they are things that are necessary, but aren't necessarily, you don't want to really have much control of your life.
Right.
And so, yeah, we have a record company, and we are just as superfluous as any other record company out there. The band is the one who drives everything, and the record company just tries to get your stuff into the stores and make it so people know that it's out there.
Right. Now, you've got some pretty big guests on the record, from Tim Armstrong to Tom Morello. Were those songs written with them in mind as guests, or did you add them in after the fact?
No. We wrote them without any hope of the guests, and with Tom, we have a working relationship with Tom that we've been working with him for a while, and we thought, wow, this would be an awesome song for Tom Morello's guitar solo, and he was like, okay, I'll do that. So we sent it off to him, and he put that on, and then with Brendan Burkett, we just thought we really thought it was a great song, and we were really excited about the song, and we thought, well, it's sort of clashy, sort of rancid-y, sort of that era of punk rock, and we'd been talking to Tim a little bit about some other things. We said, why don't we get Tim if he wants to sing on it? And we pitched it to him, and he said, yeah, that'd be great. So he came over and did the vocals for us, and it was really awesome that he was willing to do it, and that he said he really likes the song as well. So I think it's a great fit. His performance is great.
Awesome. Now let's get into some food here. What made you become a vegan and then ultimately, or a vegetarian and then ultimately a vegan?
Well, I became vegetarian when I was really young, and I decided that I couldn't go through life that was causing suffering of other things all the time. Now, as you become more educated, you realize that just your existence, being alive, is causing suffering of all things. But so I could kill myself, which would be helpful to most people. But the reality is that with animals, I felt that it wasn't. I could survive perfectly fine without other things having to die. So that was my idea the realization that I came to when I was 15, 16 years old. And then as I became more aware of these things, when I was at home, my parents said, well, you either eat this or you're not eating anything else. So as soon as I got out on my own, when I was like 17 years old, I decided to become full-fledged vegetarian. And then about 10, 15 years ago, when I first became vegetarian, it was very difficult to be vegan. And the people who were vegan were really snotty, and they didn't connect with me. Right. And then as I became more educated, I realized that it's not that difficult to be vegan. I was almost already vegan, so I went vegan. And for me, it's very easy. For the people around me, it's a bit of a challenge. But
why is that?
But yeah, well, for some reason, when you're vegan, everybody is frustrated about it. I don't know why. Because I do. When you go to family, like my girlfriend, you go to family functions, and her parents don't understand what vegan is, and then they have to make food, and I'm like, well, I'll do my own food. It's okay, and that throws a monkey wrench into the cultural fabric of everything. But my family has accepted. They're just like, oh, don't make anything for Pat because he'll just bring his own food. And I'm like, yeah, it's perfect. That's great. And again, my DIY vision of the world is that, I don't need anybody else to take care of me. I'll do it. I'll deal with it all myself. So that all fits in with my broader view of the world. But so being a vegan is really easy for me. The only time that it's a challenge is if I'm traveling in places that are real, like Hong Kong and Japan were a challenge when we didn't have handlers around.
Gotcha.
When you're traveling with a band, usually they have somebody who can say, "Oh, you're vegan. This is what these are the things you eat."
Right.
But it's tough to communicate that. But I remember when we were, and I'm going off on tangents, I apologize. But I remember when we were really young and we went into Canada, and you wouldn't think that Canada would be like this, but in the mid-'90s in Canada, we said we wanted a vegetarian pizza. They said, well, so you want just pepperoni? And we're like, no. We're like, why would you eat pizza without pepperoni? And I'm like, because I don't want to eat the meat. And they're like, so things have definitely changed in the last 20 years.
Yeah. What made you want to open your own restaurant?
Well, the restaurant is for me, it's much like the record company. I have a friend, his name's Keith Fuller, he's the chef, and he is amazingly talented and incredibly passionate about food and makes beautiful food. And he said, do you want to open a restaurant? And I said, I don't know anything about restaurants, but I know about artists and helping artists create their dreams, and which sounds a little hippie bullshit, but artists try to create their vision of what they want.
Right.
And so that's how I see the restaurant, not as me being an owner, but sort of me being a facilitator of a incredibly talented chef who wants to create something awesome. Yeah, so that's where. So in my mind, I would love to have, much like a record company has many different artists, I would like to have many different restaurants with many different chefs that would be, that each of them would be doing their thing, and the job would be to help them facilitate through the things that we've learned in on the other projects. Mm. However, restaurants are much more expensive than records are. Right. And so that was a bit of that's where the analogy sort of breaks down, because to put out a record is expensive, but it's not nearly as expensive as opening up a restaurant.
Right. I was looking at the menu, and I was surprised to find that it was like they had some vegan or vegetarian options, but a lot of it was, carnivorous food.
Yeah, absolutely. Keith is his vision of activism is different than my vision of the world. His idea is that if you're going to kill the animal, you should use everything about it. And he really likes the feet and the tails and the noses and the brain and all the things that nobody wants to eat, that they throw away.
Right.
He feels as though that's his activism, to make that part of the food delicious and just as valuable as the other things, because you're going to kill the animal anyway, you might as well use it.
Right. Does it bother you that being involved with a restaurant that, obviously it doesn't bother you too much because you own it, but
well,
was there any conflict within you regarding that?
Well, yeah, there's always conflict, because I'm straight edge as well, and I don't drink alcohol, but we serve alcohol at the restaurant. Mm-hmm. And but where I am with that is that people are going to enjoy this meal, and to have them enjoy this meal, they're going to drink wine. They're going to drink wine whether I think it's appropriate or not. So why not give them that opportunity? My vision of the world is not that I want to control other people. It's that I want that this is how it makes most sense for me to live. Everybody else needs to be able to live the life that they choose. And if they want to do that, then whatever they want to do is fine with me. So there's a little bit of conflict there. I realize the hypocrisy of it for sure. But at the same time, Keith's vision of what he wants to create, and I want to help him achieve that goal.
Awesome. So what kind of touring is Anti-Flag going to be doing this year in support of the record?
Well, we just finished we did some interesting Terror State shows and just some weird one-off shows all over the place over the last couple months, and then so we were taking a bit of a downtime. And then we're going to be on tour basically the rest of the year supporting the new record. So we'll be all over the U.S. In May, and then we go to Europe for a bit. Then we come home, then we go back to Europe, then we go and do the U.S. again, and then we're looking at Australia or South America for next winter. So it's just going to be tour.
Gotcha.
Which is cool. That makes us happy.
Yeah.
That's where life makes the most sense, is when we're driving to a show and playing music.
Yep. Awesome. Well, Pat, that's all I got for you today. Thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us.
Brilliant. Thank you. I appreciate the question. That was a lot of fun. And if if we're in LA and you see that we're playing, please come out and say hello. I'd appreciate you just coming and saying hello.
Sounds good. I will.
All right. Brilliant. Thanks, Kevin.
All right. Good day. Yep. You too. Thanks.
Bye.
All right, I'd like to thank Steve, Brian, Skate Rat, and Kevin. I'd like to thank all of our interviewees, Mike Cambra, Mark Adkins, Chris Flippin, Limo, Joey Cape, and Pat Thetic. I'd like to thank people at Fish Pick Saloon. I'd like to thank all of you listeners for listening. Check out Burning Rose Studios for all your videographic needs. Check out Betty Gear on Facebook. And, of course, check out Punk Rock Foodies on Facebook. Make food, post a pic. It's that simple. Look out for more best of episodes coming your way. And everybody have a happy new year. Bone-Ape-Tit.